3, 2, 1. Are we on? We're on. Yeah. Everybody, good evening. Well, we see a countdown, and so we weren't sure, but
yeah. But our engineer
said,
right?
you're on the air, by the way.
Yeah, you are on, by the way. That's it.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show, coming to you live from Billy Sims BBQ down here on 86th Street North in Owasso. I'm Bill Bush, joined by my wingman again here, Mark Kirk. Glad to have Mark back. And
Again.
He doesn't get to do this anymore. This is it. He's here now. He's staying. And, of course, head coach Brent Marley. And if you've got any questions or comments, you can click on the link at the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll try to get those answered before the end of the show. And our engineer does have the capability of blocking some of those. So. You've got about 30 minutes, though, to come on down and take advantage of the special, a pulled pork or a chicken sandwich and a side and a drink for $5.99. You got 20 minutes. You got plenty of time to get down and grab one. All you need to do is just tell them you're from Rejoice and take advantage of that special. Quick game recap, Coach. We finally broke the roller coaster season. That's what everybody had been calling it. And really started rolling in the second quarter. I mean, we started a little slow, but then in the second quarter scored 28 points to really put the game away. Slow part, maybe in part due to all the festivities and, being homecoming and Mom's Night also? Night. And so, but it seemed like the team was able to put all that behind them and finally take care of business.
Yeah, it always seems like when you have a pep assembly, 7th hour, or you have events going on, it's always one of those things where it takes a minute to get going, and you get all that extra hoopla out of your system and settle in.
Those are called distractions.
Distractions, that's right. The key is, and when we're not clicking on all cylinders in those distraction times, just don't let them score.
Right.
Right. Keep playing defense at least. And,
right.
And then offense really settled in, and we felt like by the end of the game, offense, defense, special teams, all three phases of the game was really one of our, and maybe the opponent wasn't quite as dominant as some of the previous people we played, but I think for us controlling what we do and what we can control, I thought it was a clean game in all three phases of the game, really second through the end, second through the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Well, and like you just said, another complete game performance by all the phases of the game, offense, defense, special teams. And it's one of those games where you're able to get a lot of players in, a lot of your 2s and 3s. And Mark and I, we've talked about that before in the past few seasons, just how valuable that is to get those guys in real playing time and not just beating up on each other or being the scout team, but actually having playing time and getting in front of a crowd and just,
It's different.
It's
very different.
It is.
Yeah, but, how valuable – and you've talked about it before, how important that is and to build for the future.
Yeah, it definitely is. One thing for us, more so this year than ever, because our numbers, we don't have the luxury to play JV games on Monday nights, because if we did play JV on Monday night, we would be probably having to play 4 or 5 guys that start or play on Friday night.
Varsity, yeah.
And I did that at a previous school I was at one year, and we lost 2 starters from varsity on a Monday night.
On a JV game.
And it's just not – you cannot do that. No one cares if you win on Monday night, but you have to develop depth for the future. And so getting these guys in, we cleared the bench Friday night. I think everybody got to play. Which is
that's a baseball term, by the way. But anyway,
it
means it's something entirely different.
We didn't get in a fight, but we did clear the bench.
Because you find somebody sitting on the bench and they're going to do laps the next week anyway. So.
Yeah. But it was good. And what I really was pleased with is when we did get everybody in the game, a lot of times your concern, and the defensive coordinator, Coach Eckel, his concern is, well, we had a shutout going, and then all of a sudden, you go to your 2s and 3s, and then they score 14 or 21 points real quick, and I guess coaches sometimes worry about the perception of other people from a distance looking at the score. And, it was 49-21 against, what. But, no, those guys held their own. They didn't let them score. And we're liking the production we're getting from some of our younger guys that in the last couple of weeks have gotten to play. I felt like once again, 2 weeks in a row with Cade Schaefer and Wade White on the defensive side, those 2 young guys came in and played really well. And we had some other guys, young guys come in and play really well. So it was awesome seeing that. Tanner Piazza gives us a little Pep on the offensive side at slot, and we got him in some. And
what's really good is that you can all. It's it's a blowout. It's you're winning by a lot, and all of a sudden somebody makes a play late in the fourth quarter, and the crowd just erupts, and then you realize it's Piazza, or it's Jackson Key, or it's some of these guys that hadn't got a lot of playing time, or the Wade Whites. Of course the Wade's been playing good though.
He has. The varsity guys love it when the younger guys come in and make a play. The sideline's just crazy.
Yeah,
it's more crazy during the fourth quarter when the young guys are playing than it is in the meaningful moments of the game at the beginning.
Well, I think a lot of them probably experienced that just a couple of years ago. They were those guys that were coming in that were doing that. And we were saying the same thing back then. Hey, how important this is for these guys to get these reps now at a young age. It'll pay dividends later.
Right? Yeah, and Daniel Buttram, of course, he helped me in the booth last week. But he mentioned that as soon as one of those guys made that play and the sideline guy he goes, look at the sideline. They are so happy for those guys to get in and make plays like that.
Yeah, when there was a play late in the game, I don't know if people recall it, but Duncan Andrus, a backup kid, he's a backup kicker, sophomore, good player. He came in from his outside linebacker spot and hit the no-water running back, and the ball shot up in the air.
And
their quarterback
caught it and still advanced it.
I thought our upperclassmen were going to dump the Gatorade bucket on me on the sideline like we'd won the state championship. Yeah. I couldn't even – they were bumping into me, and I couldn't see what was going on. And
that's the play that we're talking about. Well, just kind of looking recap of the game. We started out with a 7-0 lead when Josh Hendricks got things started. He broke and scored on a 20-yard pitch and catch from Camden Ryan, with the bulk of that coming 15 yards after the catch, breaking two tackles, and then, of course, Maverick Price added an extra point. And like I say, kind of started slow. That was all scoring in the first quarter because, our first drive, we ended up getting it was a bad snap. Cam wasn't ready, and, he's looking this way, and here comes a snap, and, well, now you're in a hole. And so, anyway, got things going after that position. Second quarter, Maverick Price, once again doing it on offense. Camden Ryan dropped a 45-yard dime for a TD to Maverick, and it was just such a beautiful pass, and that wasn't the only one he had.
I told Cam I think that was the best ball he's thrown this year because Maverick could not drop it.
No.
It stuck to his chest pad.
Yeah. And then Cam called his own number, and we was able to go in. I don't know if it was called to go up the middle, but he saw it was just all too much congestion there. Pops it out to the right inside and increased the lead to 21-0 with Maverick with the extra point. Then the Eagles kept rolling with Hunter Hensley, caught a little screen pass from Camden out, and then took it to the house for 20 yards for a touchdown. Otto Maverick again with the extra point kick. And then still in the second quarter, Josh Hendricks put points on the board for the Eagles again. However, this time it was on the defensive side of the board as he stepped in front of a no odds intended receiver and returned it for a 35-yard pick six, and Price added the extra point to close out the scoring. So, we get 7 points in the first quarter and then 28 in the second quarter. And so
I like that multiplication.
Yeah, you like that, like the way that math goes? Yeah. So, coming out in the second half, Rejoice scored on the first possession out of the locker room for of the second half when Maverick Price caught his second touchdown of the night, and again dropped another just beautiful pass to Maverick out on the right side for 26 yards. Price actually that was one they made the catch over the defender, able to pull it in, and for the Maverick turns around and kicks the extra point. And then also in the third quarter, it almost looked identical to the first quarter score that Josh had when he, again, took a screen pass. The other one was just a little pass out in the flat. He breaks two tackles, goes to score. This was just a screen pass, just out there in the 28-yard line, and he takes it in for his third touchdown of the night, 2 offense, 1 on defense. And then, of course, Maverick closed it out, the scoring for the night, adding the extra point. Taking a look at the offensive leaders, you had Cam Ryan was 19 of 27 for 242 yards and 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. Receiving leaders, you had Josh Hendricks, 7 catches for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. Maverick had 2 of his catches for 71 yards for 2 TDs. Hunter Hensley, 2 catches, 29 yards, and a touchdown. And then 9 players in all, I believe. I mean, I forget how many guys you had touching the ball, but the ball got thrown around. One of the first catch was Caleb Marley on a little screen, getting the tight end involved, going out to the right side. I mean, so you had a lot of players, touching the ball through the air. Jace Jenkins he did most of the carrying, or he carried the load on the ground for Rejoice with 12 carries, 78 yards. Luke Schaefer had 6 carries, 24 yards, and Cam carried 10 times, 15 yards, and a touchdown. And, I mean, a coach, once again, like I say, a balanced attack with 242 yards through the air, 31 rushes for 122 yards, and our offensive player of the game, Cam Ryan, obviously it was a pretty easy choice.
5 TDs,
responsible for all 5 TDs on offense, 4 through the air and 1 rushing TD. Just a really good night for Cam.
Really good night. I told Cam that his completion percentage was like 70%, which is really good. And,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, threw some really good balls, controlled the game well. And, you got someone who's responsible for 5 TDs. That's a big night. And
regardless of who the competition is.
Right, yeah. I mean, there was we gave him a gold brick, too, on Monday. We actually split the gold brick with him and Maverick because Maverick's second catch was incredible, the one he went over the top.
Yeah,
and then
the big play of the game.
And like Coach Blizzard said, all Maverick Price does is score touchdowns or kick field goals.
Or extra
catch,
points.
He's always scoring
40
points.
yards.
Scoring points, yeah.
I mean, he doesn't do the little short stuff. He likes to be, hey, shine a spotlight on me because it's going to be pretty impressive.
But then, of course, Josh Hendricks comes in and says, well, hey, 2 of those touchdown passes, I got it out in the flats.
Yeah.
And then I got the
I did the rest of the work.
And I'm like, well, we'll give you the defensive brick. So
which he was our defensive player.
The pick six. And I think he led us in tackles too. But anyway.
Not only so you gave him the gold brick. Well, we'll talk about defense in a minute. Another player that like we talked about that can't hide under the radar is Maverick Price. He was our big player of the game. Coach referenced that. With his helmet and ball catch. I mean, it was basically off the guy's – looked like it was off the guy's helmet or whatever, but reaches and gets it. He's what, 6 –
He's about 6'2", 6'2.5" probably.
Yeah, and probably got a wingspan of 7 feet. I mean, so,
The big thing for us that we saw, and Cam is getting comfortable with taking what we call the access throw. And some of those plays, those throws to Maverick, we had a total different play called. And Cam's got the green light. If he likes the access throw, which is normally our single side receiver, there's about 5 or 6 different routes that they can tag each other with. I'm not going to talk about how we do that, but they've got a way to do that. And so some of those plays where we had big plays were not the actual play call, but it was Cam seeing it and liking it and taking the shot. And so if we can get even a couple of Josh's catches, I think Hunter had one of his catches. Called away from that
7 solo and 1 pass breakup, and then that 35-yard interception return, that pick 6, where he scored on it, and was also Channel 6's. I was watching Channel 6 Sports, and he was Channel 6's Ford Play of the Week.
Cool.
Whenever
Very
they had
good.
the interception return, so that's a big honor to have. And then you had Cade Schaefer that had 9 tackles, 3 solo, and a sack. And that's another guy that's just really coming alive is Cade Schaefer. I mean, he's playing real well right now. Carter Acree, 5 tackles, 3 solo, and a fumble recovery. Another one that you don't necessarily hear every week, but here you go.
Some good time the other night.
Yes, they actually absolutely did. Camden Ryan, 6 tackles, 4 solo, and Dylan Close with 4 tackles and a sack. And you were talking about the players. There were 26 players in on tackles Friday night. 26 different players, whether it was a solo or an assist or whatever, but 26.
I don't know if we have 26 on our roster.
I was trying to think,
where did they come from?
26 guys, and you guys, you had guys like Caleb Marley and Maverick Price, Trent Wilson. Those guys all had tackles for loss, and then we talked about Way White with 2 pass breakups. I mean, just another big night for that defense and being able to get that many players in on the game.
I think we found a rhythm on D. Like I said, I may have mentioned this last week, but there's been several games now we've not given up any points, And even back when we were semifinal teams or quarterfinal team, 2 years ago that played Washington, there wasn't many games those years that we had shutouts. There may be 6 scored or 14 on the, and sometimes it would have been the second team, when they get in there late.
Right.
But when you got that many kids making tackles, contributing, it's a group effort. It's a team effort. It shows you that they're hungry. You don't get 26 people making tackles if 26 people don't want to get to the football.
Right.
So
Yep.
you've got 26 kids acting like piranhas out there wanting to get to the ball. So that's a huge deal. But what the rhythm I think we found is we've got kind of a good rhythm in our secondary. We've had a little, gotten a little banged up with Drevin Reed out at corner, but we've had some good play with our secondary with Hunter and Josh, and then moving Rice and Go Lightly to outside linebacker, opposite of Josh, and then having Caleb Marley at defensive end. We've kind of got some bookends there, and then in the inside with Nathan Price and Tommy Mulkey, like you're not going to run in A gaps if those two guys are in.
Right.
No.
And they didn't. I mean, they
No.
just the run
No.
was not existent.
And then at linebacker, with Cam and Noah Schnackenberg, and now with Cade Schaefer coming along, it's given us a little depth. What's nice about that depth, Cam doesn't want to come off the field, and we love that. And Coach Eckel loves that, but at the same time, we all know if Cam doesn't have to be in there on D in this moment, if he were to be in there on D in a moment we don't have to have him, and he were to get – and he's not going to get hurt, but at the same time, you got to be smart. And we want him to be rested a little bit on offense to be able to go get those hard yards when we have to run it with him, things like that. But we know all bets are off here in a couple weeks.
Right.
I mean, we got to survive these next two. And if we make it to the postseason – there's all bets are off. The best guys got to stay out on the field no matter what, and you survive in advance. But we're don't want to get the cart before the horse. On that.
Yeah, and we're talking about the defense with their second straight shutout, they had 7 3-and-outs. 7. Normally if you get 2, maybe 3 a game, that you consider that a pretty good night. But they have 7 3-and-outs. You'd have been doing You'd have been doing the Lewis Roofing defensive stop call. We did all night long.
Yeah.
But I mean that's a ton. And again, the defense got it down with just a total shutdown of Nowata. They only crossed the 50-yard line twice. And I think the week before they had only Veneta only crossed it. I mean, Veneta crossed it once. Mm-hmm. They got down. But what was also impressive is they got down. I think on their second drive, but they drove down inside the 20-yard line.
Yep.
And the defense bowed up and stopped them.
Yep.
I mean, that's
so demoralizing for the offense.
Yeah.
To come in and to face that. And I mean, the defense comes in, and of course, my thoughts on defense anyway. That's how you win championships, right?
Right.
Anyway, to have the offense come in and just bring everything you got, and then just have that defense. It looks like you're moving down the field, and then have that defense just kind of bow up and stop you. Mm-hmm. It's just it makes it really hard on them.
It makes them feel like all of that for naught.
For naught.
And if you haven't, if you're not experienced a lot of success, teams get in this here we go again mode,
right?
And then it's it's kind of downhill if you don't believe.
Well, and they had a rushing. You're saying, they didn't have 60 yards rushing. Yeah. If you're only going to have 60 yards rushing, it's going to be a long night, and it was.
Really hard.
Because the defense again, just the middle of that line is just doing, and linebackers crashing in are just doing such a great job this year of really stuffing the run for the most part. I don't know of anybody that. I'm trying to remember the games, but maybe it was against Adair where they were able to get some runs off. But for the most part, it's either been a busted play or it's around the end or whatever. That interior line has just been solid.
They've done a great job, and I really think that we started seeing change when, like I said, we got in a little bit of rhythm of personnel and who to put where. But then just actually we got more simple. We eliminated a lot of, and we've really been playing just a couple coverages, and just being real simple, and really just stressing staying home.
Yeah.
I think so many times, coaches just do too much, and at every level, and there's just too much to be, because they got to, it's job security, and you got to practice, and you got to do what everybody else is doing, and you wind up over coaching. And
defense doesn't have to be complicated.
Defense is no. I like simplicity.
It's a lot of it's right here, and how you approach the ball and how you really approach the game. But and you're right. I mean, you see this happen on Friday nights, on Saturdays, and on Sundays.
Yeah.
And when people really overthink that, and then they try and do too much on defense, and
Yeah.
they play too far off, and they got all these weird zones and stuff, and all of a sudden, you know what, you're behind.
Right.
Yeah.
In 2019, we went to the state semifinals, and we played Christian Heritage, and we were in the odd stack. And me and Coach Johnson at the time doing the defense, we came up with all these elaborate coverages and worked we watched so much film, and then we go play at Cushing, play Christian Heritage in the semis, and we lose. It was a weird game, had the long halftime delay, lightning at halftime. We lose the game. The following week they go play Tonkawa. Well, Tonkawa runs the 3-3 odd stack, and all they did was play cover 3.
Wada, I mean, you started off with the one with Caleb and then hit it a couple of times, and it was pretty successful.
Yeah, we put a few wrinkles into a couple of our formations that we've been hitting heavy on run in those formations. So we put a couple screens in on those formations, and that's the one Hunter Hensley got loose on, which is one of our bread and butter formations. But we kind of slipped him out the back door, and looked like we were going to roll on a sprint pass to that bunch, and flipped it to him backside, and he made one guy miss, made a nice move, and almost thought he was going to go down, was able to keep his feet and sprinted to the end zone. It was a big play, but yeah, trying to be a little creative in what we do and add a little wrinkles here and there.
Yeah. Well, the Eagles are going to be on the road tomorrow night, traveling up Highway 75 to take on Caney Valley, the Trojans. Yeah, up in Ramona. If you're wondering where Caney Valley's at, if you know where Ramona's at, you know where Caney Valley's at. The Trojans are 0-8 overall and 0-5 in the district. And, Coach, it's probably going to be a wet, sloppy field because they play on natural turf. And it's going to be a cold,
A lot colder than what it's
damp
been.
night. Yeah, and it's going to be damp. How do the conditions come into play tomorrow night as far as offense? I mean, footing's probably not going to be real good. Going to have to wear the long cleats. And the ball's going to be wet. It's going to be cold. How do you prepare for a game like that? Because obviously you can't prepare for a game like that inside the Gibbs Center or even on your synthetic turf. So
yeah, it's tough. I mean, I know I've heard coaches' stories dipping balls in buckets of water and stuff like that.
Make them slimy.
Yeah, there's all these. And then I was listening to Navy SEALs on a YouTube show about preparing for buds training. Mm-hmm. And they say, guys would get in cold showers or jump in cold water or whatever. And then they had real SEALs on there, and they say, no, when you're in the States and you're not there yet, don't take a freezing cold shower. When you get there and you're in the moment, you deal with it.
Where you have
and
to.
you do the best you can.
Yeah.
right.
And it's like, you know what, don't be elaborate.
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. It goes back to just don't overthink it. I told the guys today, don't wear a bunch of clothes and because it's going to be cold, because then you're going to get wet and your clothes are going to get heavy, and then it's going to be just as cold when you got wet, heavy clothes on. Just don't overthink it.
Mark and I are going to wear heavy clothes.
Yeah,
guys-
but we'll be moving a lot less than what they are.
Well, if you guys get heavy and cold and don't broadcast as good,
You'll know why. I just
Don't
can't-
say I didn't tell you.
remember
move my
tonight. We talked about this, but no, I think you just do what you do, and weather neutralizes things too.
Right.
I told the boys we've got to
Everybody's
be
got
able
to deal with the same thing.
bounce back. Good teams sometimes aren't near as good when the weather's bad or it's rainy, and they did inform me there will be standing water in pockets on their field. And
I know. Well,
better.
so it really kind of it makes it, like you said, neutralizes things to where it's almost an equalizer, not to the point of equal up, but it's still. I think it makes it better for maybe the team that doesn't quite have the athletes. It makes that's on their side.
It is.
I mean, that helps them
It
more
is
than it does
because
us.
you've seen it throughout years of football.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen great teams, and all of a sudden the NFL they play in the snow, and it's 6-6 going in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That team scored 40 a game. So they're going to try to. They're pretty balanced. They'll throw it some. They'll run it some. Quarterback likes to run around and likes to try to find people.
Is he one of the guys we need to kind of watch for, or?
Yeah, I mean, I would say him, and really, there's not really one other player that stands out. They try to just spread the ball around, and I'd say probably quarterback run game. If we can stop the quarterback run game, that'll be a favorable advantage for us.
And defensively, I mean, just about everything we did last week worked. Do you expect to have that type of success up there tomorrow night? And as far as we've still got a couple of guys that are on the injured list, and I'm guessing those are still going to be on the injured. I know Jet McCain would really like to play tomorrow night.
Right.
But are you kind of holding those guys out, for another week
Yeah.
And
We've got 5 out tomorrow night.
oh wow.
Which is, you know, you don't want that, but, you know, it's
especially when you're as low as you are already.
right.
So did you have some injuries after the game this last Friday?
Yeah, Jet won't play, of course. Cody
Trevin.
Smith won't be back tomorrow night. Harrison Rainey will not be back tomorrow night. Drevin, of course. Kale, Drevin, I don't know if we'll get him back this year. We might. Talking to him today, it's going to depend. We'd have to get a couple, 2-3 rounds deep in the playoffs, and there's a chance we could get him back. But, yeah, those guys will all be out tomorrow night.
Okay. And am I correct in saying that with the win, we at least clinch a playoff spot tomorrow night?
Not necessarily.
Mathematically, we can still not make it. Huh?
If we've got to – okay, so we've got to beat Pawhuska. If we beat Pawhuska, we're second. Mathematically, if Adair loses to Pawhuska tomorrow night and Adair were to lose to Nowata, mathematically we could be in a tie for first if we win out. If we beat Pawhuska, and because they would have 2 losses to us and Claremore Sequoia. Adair would have 2 losses if they lose to Pawhuska tomorrow night and lose to Nowata week 10, and then Claremore Sequoia's would have 2 losses. So
but with us, a game even a win tomorrow night doesn't necessarily clinch at least 4th place?
no, because
Okay.
if we do not beat Pawhuska and Salina beats Veneta, us and Salina will both have 3 losses, and Salina beat us head-to-head. So
Okay.
I believe we would be out, and Salina would be 4th.
Okay.
Well, it's like you
So-
said before. I mean, you can only control what you control with
Right.
your team, so that you win out, then let
Right.
chips fall where they may.
Right.
So-
Now, if Pawhuska beats Adair tomorrow night, Pawhuska's coming to Rejoice next week for the district championship.
That ought to be.
For them, if they
For them.
win, they're district champs. Adair their coach told me this week he will buy Rejoice gear next week if they lose to Pawhuska tomorrow night. And I said, I'll send you some, and you can wear it around campus, and maybe some of your kids will want to come. Anyway, but no, we will we will be playing them. Now we'll be playing for second. And it's going to be a huge game no matter how you
Huge.
go, because
Yeah.
for us, we're playing for second, and that second is a home field playoff game.
Right.
Or potentially out.
Right.
And we told the boys if we got in by not beating Pawhuska next week, it would be because Veneta beat Salina and we get the 4 seed and got to go on the road, and we got in because of another team.
Right.
It's just not how you want to end it. But, we play the game, and
Yeah.
they get a vote too.
All right.
So-
And so fans, I mean, the last 2 weeks, especially after hearing that, the last 2 weeks are going to be huge in determining our playoff standing. So if you can bundle up, you get regardless of what he says, get your warm clothes on, bundle up, go 20 to 30 minutes north up to Ramona and help the Eagles pick up another important district win as they continue to try to climb up those district standings. If you can't make it, of course, as always, Mark and I will be there with some hot chocolate and coffee, and we'll bring you. I don't know if it's going to be hard to do that with,
With my gloves and
on.
stuff. Yeah.
But again, we'll bring you all the action on this YouTube channel. But we really would like to have they got small stands, so you might even want to bring a lawn chair or something and just get up there and cheer these guys on to victory. So we really would like for you to come up if you can. But again, like I said, if you can't, we're going to be up there to bring the game. Coach, final thoughts for tomorrow night?
No, just what you said it right there. It's a big game. It's a district game. This game is as big as the Pawhuska game when it counts as far as win-loss. So we've got to go take care of business tomorrow.
Yeah, and they've been, like I say, we have 2 wins in a row. We're on a winning streak. Let's make it 3 in a row.
Very good.
And then hope things that work out. And again, like Mark said, all we can do is control what we can control,
Exactly.
and everything else will take care of itself. But we want to thank you for joining us tonight for the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show, and we want you to join us again here next week. And don't forget to get down here sometime between 6 and 8.
Yeah, take advantage of that special.
Great deal.
$5.99
Man, it's unbelievable.
for a sandwich, side, and a drink. So, but you got just tell them you're from Rejoice, or you're here with Rejoice, or just
Or
mention
about
Rejoice.
Rejoice, or-
Yeah, just say Rejoice.
Rejoice.
And,
I'm rejoicing.
I rejoice.
Exactly.
And give me a chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Like I say, and as always, we'll be down here for this show. It'll kick off at 7:30. And you can catch that live right here on this Rejoice Athletics TV YouTube channel. Join us tomorrow night, kickoff again, 7 o'clock. You can catch the replay of this show tomorrow night starting about 6:20, and then Mark and I will bring you the pregame about 7 or 6:55. And so we hope to see you up there, but if not, we'll bring you the game. For my main man, Mark Kirk, Coach Marley, And, of course, our engineer making this all happen, Todd Witten at the controls. I'm Bill Bush, and you've been watching the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show on the Rejoice Athletics TV. Good night, God bless, and go Eagles.